Hello everybody and welcome to episode 52 of the Desert Tiger Podcast. I am your host here on the show. My name is Colton G and my guest today is Marcus Haran. Before I go ahead and introduce Marcus to you, of course, I gotta go ahead and thank everybody who's gone ahead and grabbed themselves a Desert Tiger t-shirt, because that is what helps me bring you this show for free every single week, 52 weeks out of the year and some. So thank you so very much to those lovely individuals. And if you want to go ahead and support the show one step further than you already are just by playing this episode, you too can go ahead and rep the Tiger loud and proud by grabbing your own t-shirt for yourself. They're available on all of our social medias. We're going to be having our Shopify store getting up and running very soon. We actually just dropped a new t-shirt design on all of our social medias. So if you guys want to go ahead and feast your eyes on what some of the new designs are, head on over to our Instagram and our Facebook. Feast it for yourself. All right. Marcus Haran is a rapper, singer, songwriter, and record producer born in Paris, France, and raised in Toronto, Canada. His latest album, A True Story, A Soundscape to Indifference, is a powerful look into Marcus's past and eventual growth into the supernova he continues to shine like. Inspired by the astrological symbolism of the planets in the universe and how they connect with his own journey of overcoming adversity, Marcus covers various topics and experiences that have led him to become the visionary he is today. Living with vitiligo, being a refugee, being used as a drug mule, depression, and so much more, Indifference is not only the story of how Haran harnessed and overcame these challenges, but is also the name of a movement he started to help represent and inspire those who feel different, to embrace their beauty and encourage the celebration of being unique. Like I said, today Marcus is my guest. We're going to be discussing his new album, A True Story, A Soundscape to Indifference. We're going to be talking about what he has going on in the future for 2019 in terms of new music releases as well. We're going to be talking about that movement, Indifference, how he came to start it, what exactly is Indifference doing in and around Toronto and in Canada. There is a lot going on behind this conversation, a lot of emotion behind Marcus's music. So today I'm also going to be playing you 2 tracks off of A True Story, all the songs on this album being named after planets, sort of following that symbolism that we discussed earlier. The tracks I'm going to be playing for you today in the order that I'm going to be playing for you. I'm going to start things off with a track called Venus that is super catchy, has a great hook on it, and in the middle of the show I'm going to be playing a song for you entitled Jupiter, which has also got a nice mellow vibe to it. The vocals on it are freaking crisp and just, they're fantastic. So I can't wait to get you guys on that. Of course, Marcus is going to be explaining a little bit of the symbolism behind those songs and just how they connect to his life once we actually get into the interview. So how about we jump into that right away by getting things kicked off with Venus.
I wanna know, do you feel my vibe? I gotta go, but to say goodbye, no. I know that there's a place that's in your mind you wanna go. Close your eyes, you see it shining bright, about to blow. I think I see a supernova. I think I see a supernova. Tell me, do you see me from afar? I wanna know. Through these constellations, I'm a star about to blow. I'm not a superstar, but supernova. Not a superstar, but supernova. Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Close my eyes, I'ma tap in. Looking for God cause I'm trapped in. No negative, no subtractions. Only positive for the masses. Till I go this baggage. Smoking these clouds till they vanish. Using these marks as advantage. This is no place for the average. Got the blues, baby, you. Tell me, can I really count on you? With all the bullshit we've been through, I question myself and I'm asking God if this is true. I know that there's a place that's in your mind you wanna go. Close your eyes, you see it shining bright, about to blow. I think I see a supernova. I think I see a supernova. Tell me, do you see me from afar? I wanna know. Through these constellations, I'm a star about to blow. I'm not a superstar, but supernova. Not a superstar, but supernova. Feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Came from below, yeah, where the sun don't shine. I need to go, but to say goodbye, I know that there's a place that's in your mind you wanna go. Close your eyes, you see it shining bright, about to blow. I think I see a supernova. I think I see a supernova. Tell me, do you see me from afar? I wanna know. Through these constellations, I'm a star about to blow. I'm not a superstar, but supernova. Not a superstar, but supernova. Feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? Do you feel my vibe? I wanna know.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
We are here with Marcus Haran.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Hey, no worries at all. I am glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I am also extremely excited to talk today. So how is this wonderful Wednesday going for you?
It's going pretty good. I just actually finished a radio interview with Sirius XM.
Oh, nice.
This is what 20 minutes ago, and I just dropped off to the studio, and yeah, and then you were going to call, so we're getting amped up for that.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully I can match the quality of Sirius XM for you today.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I usually like to start off like where the things start with the artist. So where does the love of music find a young Marcus Haran? When does hip-hop and rap start working its way into your heart?
Usually when I'm like, in a state of emotion, whether it's being happy, insecure, excited, fearful, that's when like music really finds me, because I feel like that's the only outlet I have, to say what I need to say, because I feel like the mic is the only thing that's there listening to me. So.
Okay. So at what age did hip-hop and rap start appealing to you?
When I was about, I'd say about like 8, 9, drums were like a big thing for me. So beatboxing was like a huge thing. Nice. And then from beatboxing, I discovered what hip-hop was. I mean, in the midst of all that, I knew what hip-hop was, but I wasn't really introduced to it. But beatboxing definitely got me into that.
Okay, so you started out as a drummer then?
Well, I was supposed to be a drummer until my mom, took the drums away because I wasn't using them, and I became infatuated with rhythm, and that's when I started making these beats out of my mouth, yeah.
Of course, as soon as the option's taken away, then you find a different way to produce rhythm, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so if you started out with beatboxing and everything else, like, at what point do you actually start trying to build your own cadence and rhythm with words yourself?
I started that about when I was, say, like 18, 19.
Okay.
Is when I started actually writing rhymes and just putting words onto my beats.
Mm-hmm.
Because I produce all my own beats. I make my own beats, and I just feel like I needed to add words to them, and that's where that came about.
Okay, so at that point you were already producing electronic beats, like, as behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Was that for other individuals, or was that just as a hobby?
It was just a hobby.
Okay. And then at some point you just decide, screw this, I'm going for it. I want to be the voice behind this rather than trying to find someone else to rap on these beats.
It's not that I couldn't find anyone to rap on the beats, but I just wasn't satisfied with what they were doing on my beats.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt like I had to show them the direction of where I think the song would have sounded good, and I just authentically wasn't feeling aligned with it. So I took a few extra steps, and I went ahead and started doing my own thing.
Okay. So when you start, are you a very are you A to B type style? Like, right away, do you understand a lot of the rhythm, or do you have to start working your way into it? Like, is this your first time actually stepping into writing lyrics?
Yes. So I kind of always had the melody in my head as I was making the beat, so I kind of knew exactly what type of melody I wanted to write the sequence of the song into,
Mm-hmm.
So I come up with the melody first, and then I'd write to the melody.
Okay. So around timeline, year-wise, what year would this be around?
It's probably around 2004, I believe.
Okay. So were you releasing this music right away, or was this still just a hobby that you were building up at that time?
It was mostly just a hobby.
Okay, so at what point do you decide that you actually want to start releasing music and maybe start playing some shows?
It's probably a few years ago, when I was doing a show for Rich Homie Kwan, and then I did a show for Cameron. Those were my major shows when I first started.
Okay, so it still took you a few years before you actually got comfortable enough to take those steps?
That's right, yeah. It took me some time to finally get there, I think it's all a process of, feeling and, not feeling good about the music that you do. And you just got to really, it's a process because, at times you pity yourself. You're just like, what the fuck am I doing? And then you just got to keep going. You fall down, you get up, and you keep writing a better song. And I feel like that's where I'm at now.
Well, I can definitely agree with that sentiment, because how do you get better without working through it?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So during this time, are you just working regular day jobs, going around? Were you pursuing a career? What?
I was in school for music, independent music production at Seneca, and then I went to York University, and I studied theory of music.
Okay, so you.
I just kind of sped up, and I was kind of in aligned with what I was doing.
Mm-hmm. So you're still in following the dream in some way, shape, and form. It wasn't like you were stuck in some other avenue at the time.
Sorry, I didn't get that last bit that you said there.
I was just saying it's so you were already working within the scenes of music and everything else. It's not like you were kind of stuck in another avenue looking in from another window.
No, exactly. So I was already in the scene, you know. I was getting to know the scene, and I was around it, so it was familiar to me.
Okay. So once you start deciding to release music and that, like, because I know, like, the story behind you, but I've also listened to the singles that you started releasing first, was there's still a little bit of, like, getting into the comfort once you started releasing music? Like, was there a big, did you feel like there was a big wall maybe of, like, self-doubt or something at that point?
Not really. I mean, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew exactly what I want to do with music. I always find going with the vibe and just, like, really, you know, feeling the emotion of music as it creates. So, you know, I mean, there's obviously times where I doubt myself, but, you know, I think that's, it's normal in all communities of rappers and singers and artists. You know, they go through things because they're clearly trying to get to a platform, you know, that is undeniably, you know, hard to get to. So.
Without a doubt, it's definitely hard to get through to the platform.
Yeah.
So, do you start playing, like, sets within the scene before you start releasing music, or do you start, like, did you try and release music first?
I tried releasing music first, and then, you know, I started getting shows and whatnot, and that's how I really got into, you know, I'm meeting promoters, meeting people that do shows, and that's how I got introduced to, like, opening up and performing for people and, you know, getting paid for it.
Yeah. So what was the first single you dropped? Was that Scooby-Doo?
Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Yeah,
That was the
okay.
first single I dropped.
All right, so you dropped a couple singles, and then we move up to the album that you're releasing this year, and you can kind of see, like, a little bit of a progression in your style through those, where it's, like, they're really dancey, really bangery, and, like, while still being, like, nice and smooth. You have a nice, like, jazz, like, vocals to you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
and, like, but the new album, like, compared to those, seems to be a lot more self-reflective and a lot more, like, personal. Is there, like, a reason why you decided to dive into this? Was it, like, suddenly you felt more comfortable, like, telling your own story? What inspired you to suddenly make that change up in style?
You know, when I started my movement, Indifference, which represents, you know, my skin and being different in a community of, you know, people with one skin tone, I have two different skin tones. And, you know, I was judged in a lot of different ways because of that. And, you know, I went through a hard time with it, struggling with, you know, depression and anxiety, until I finally came out of it one day, and I was able to represent it openly in the public. And when I did that, you know, I got a great response from, you know, children, adults, grandparents, you know, just people from all over the world, you know, messaged me telling me that, you know, because of me, they're able to do things, and they're confident in themselves, and they're happier. And I think that really, you know, lit a fire in me. You know, the feeling of, like, being able to help others was a great feeling, and I think that's something that I want to feel for the rest of my life, to be honest, because, you know, it's timeless and it's priceless. That being said, I, you know, transitioned that into my album because I felt like there's a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to heal from, a lot of traumas that I've experienced in my life that I need to get off my chest. And I felt like there's a lot of people that could relate to that. So, and that's what I did. And, you know, if you listen to the album, every track has an intro. So there's 10 songs, one intro, one song, 5 songs in total, 5 intros in total. So it's 10. Every intro, I talk about the characteristic of the song that you're about to hear, and it roots back to planets, which represents numerology in my religion, and that's what I based my whole album around. And these planets having characteristics of its own, and in the songs I'm talking about those characteristics and how they relate to me. It's a very complex album, but it's adaptable, and I feel like the people that understand the album will appreciate the message. And through the album, I definitely healed my traumas. Being able to speak about them, I think it was something that I had to do. So, yeah.
Was going through those traumas, was that something that you had tried to do at a previous point in your life, or was it at this moment that you finally started to make those strides?
Well, I'd say it's at this moment mostly because I at that moment accepted myself, and I was vulnerable enough to speak about situations that were, dear to me. Also, in abundance, in a way where it's like, I don't know if I want to share these things, but I did. So.
So how difficult was it to not only plan the album so that it had its representation in each of the tracks to each of the 5 planets that you chose for it, and how difficult was it to come to acceptance to actually put those experiences into words?
You know what, the experiences, so going to the planets, picking the planets, it kind of fell in a sequence of my feelings and my emotions and things I really think about. So I really put those characteristics and thought about the planet that represents what I feel, and that's how I based the album. With my creative director, Umbreen, and even the songs, being able to talk about these traumas, it just came. It was it was fluid. It was liquefying. It just came on its own ravine, and it just. I really didn't have to think about it much because these were actual things that I've experienced. So there was a lot of words as a matter of fact, I had to cut some things out because I spoke too much about those experiences. I had to cut them out so I can sequence the song out. But it was more like a journal, to be honest, a journal to myself.
Yeah.
And that's something I've never done. I've never written a journal in my life, and this is my first time actually doing that. And even before I wrote the album, I wrote a letter to some people in my life, and I still have them. I haven't given it to them, but this is something that I wanted to heal through, and the things I wanted to say to them. And I think from that I kind of went into the album. So it was very therapeutic energy that I was in. Also very heavy along with that, and shed a few tears making the album, but I'm happy that it's out there and people get to experience it.
Well, it's definitely very deep and emotional just from listening to it, and then getting the introduction along with it, where it actually gives you a little bit of a background to the song, because like you said, you're inspiring other people too, so they can get their own message from the actual songs themselves, and it can go on to inspire them to live their own life and chase their own dreams in their own ways, but it also gives them an insight as to where you were, so it maybe even connects them more to you as an individual.
Absolutely. So that's mainly what it is, right? Like, people will relate to it. The people that do relate to it, like, I mean, it doesn't have to be the exact same memory that I'm sharing, but there's maybe one thing that I talk about in that song, even if it's just like, you know, like a person or an event, or like maybe somewhere like a location, like they can grab that. And I feel like that's how listeners are. They listen to something that they can, because they like the song so much, even though they can't relate to the song per se, because of, like, maybe I'm talking about my dad doing drugs, you know, maybe they have something that they want to, like, let go and forget about and forgive with their father. And the fact that I'm saying something about my dad, and if I say something about, like, a jacket or something that they can relate to, like, they're more inclined with the song at this point. You know what I mean? So I think I really feel like that's how energy works and messages, you know, and I think that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve as an artist, is being able to relate to people that can't even relate. You know what I mean? Make a non-believer a believer, essentially.
Well, it's to show them that A, they're not alone, and B, that hope does exist, that light does exist, and you can get through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, the positivity, the energy, and just the message that you're trying to get across is incredible. And of course, I want to get into some of the symbolism behind the decision to use planets and exactly what they all represent to you, like what inspired, like, each of the choices and just how they connect to your tracks. Like, I want to get all into that, but of course, before we do that, we need to take a little bit of a break. We're going to play Jupiter for the listeners of the podcast so they can get another taste of a true story, a soundscape to Indifference. And before that, once again, I have to go ahead and thank everybody who's gone ahead and copped themselves one of those amazing Desert Tiger t-shirts. Of course, our original design was done by the man Dara Senja out in Norway, and we recently just released a new design. You can go ahead and look at the design over on our Facebook and Instagram pages at Desert Tiger Entertainment. That was recently done by a friend of mine back home in Regina, Saskatchewan, named Kaylor Coons, and we're going to be getting that printed with some fresh ink on some tees for you very soon. So anyone who wants to go ahead and support the show just a little bit more, you can always go ahead and grab one of those t-shirts, because that's what helps me bring this show to you for free every single week, 52 weeks of the year, and I love you guys so much for wanting to support the show. Of course, if you're a little bit cash strapped, maybe you just want to go ahead and share this episode if you enjoy what you're hearing, because I know you're about to enjoy what you're about to hear. This song is called Jupiter.
Mind your business, yeah. Mind your business, yeah. Mind your motherfucking business, yeah. When I walk up in the door, spot me out like don't make shop, yeah. Why you watching me? Watching me? 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 Sleepless night, I sweat, I don't get it. It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. I'm out with the try, get reply, post your sick. It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. Mayday, mayday, I'm flying, it's going down, yelling. Mayday, 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 going down. Mayday, mayday. Past, spitting from pain alone. My thoughts, scriptures of God, staying exists. Run for the fame, stand in ovation, or wait for applaud. Do I wait for applause? Do we pray for a cause? Demons in the city of God. I'm different, I flew in abroad. Damn, I gotta say that you know there's all these people around me all the time, but at the end of it all, I'm alone. Even though there's all these people around me all the time, but at the end of it all, I'm alone. Why you watching me? Watching me? 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 Sleepless night, that's why I don't get it. It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. I'm out with the try, keep reply, what you say? It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. Mayday, mayday, I'm flying, it's going down. Yelling, mayday. Mayday, mayday, going down. Mayday, mayday. Respond me like no man. Hold up, wait. Why you watching me? Hold up, wait. I will never know what you had to say to me. Close your eyes and say a little prayer for me. Can't relate, trying to be a better man. I can never stop, want this forever, man. Where's my glove? Just call me Michael. I see fireworks, and this shit might blow. About to jump out this vicious cycle. Ever wonder why there's beauty in a cycle? Watching me, watching me, why you watching me? Watching me, why you watching me? Watching me, why you watching me? Watching me. Sleepless night, that's why I don't get it. It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. I'm out with the try, keep reply, what you say? It's me versus I ain't that, I ain't giving up. Mayday, mayday, I'm flying, it's going down. Yelling, mayday. Mayday, mayday, going down. Mayday, mayday.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
At what point do you come to the creative decision that planets are the perfect way for you to symbolize this story?
I'm very infatuated with the universe. I try to learn as much as I can about other universes, or in our universe, and like the solar systems in our universe, and other life forms, other beings. Mm-hmm. These things infatuate me. I like to think of the other, So that being said, there was a connection there already, and that alongside with the numerology and the religion that I come from, Hinduism, and we believe that our gods are leaders of planets in our universe, in our solar system. Mm-hmm. And that's my background in religion. So it kind of just tied in, and it just felt right. And I felt like this is what I needed to do, And it's facts too, because it's I'm talking about representations of planets that are represented by lords and gods from my religion, and it's very vast. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it's the beats are produced all by me. It's a dope vibe, honestly. The people who are listening, take it and give it a chance. I think you'd vibe to it on another level. It's definitely something that you have never heard before. That's for sure.
Oh, it's got a fantastic vibe to it. I was listening to it this morning, and
awesome.
I really enjoy Jupiter and Pluto.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jupiter and Pluto.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pluto. Pluto was the first one I made off the album, and Jupiter was, I think, second last track that I made. Okay. So it's cool, man. It was real cool.
So, even though the tracks take a form of sort of a look at your life as you go through it, you wrote them in different sections?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, Are you willing to go through some of those planets and exactly some of the lyrics that exactly connects them to them?
Sure, man. I don't know if I have the lyrics on me. I can try to remember them, but
no worries.
So Pluto was I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I do it for the fashion. Pluto is a planet of change. And, even like those two lyrics, I ain't trying for fashion, I ain't trying for the caption. Those are, into with like the characteristics of the planets. Mars was, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If my response is delayed, I'm talking to life and asking life to give me another chance and apologizing for being late. Venus, tell me, do you see me from afar? I want to know. Through these constellations, I'm a star about to blow. I'm not a superstar, a supernova.
That's a dope
I'm not a superstar. Yeah. So that's Venus, and talking about life as itself. What was it? Jupiter is, are you watching me? Watching me? Why are you watching me? Like I'm talking about like my skin and why are you watching me? You know what I mean? Like, and then finally I get into sleepless nights, and I swear I don't get enough. It's me versus I ain't die. I ain't giving up. I'm worth a try. Favorite play. It's kind of cool. That's Jupiter. It's like, it's all positive shit. And then like even going into Saturn, looking like my skin is dipped in bleach. Papa never practiced what he preach. Turn a little into a demon. Tell me why I'm different. What's my reason? Like that's like I'm asking to be accepted and why I'm different. You know what I mean? So, and those align with all the planets. So, yeah, it's kind of cool, man. I mean, definitely, like, all the listeners take a listen to it, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, deadly. For Saturn itself, it seems like that one definitely touches on your experiences with your father. When saying, like, doesn't practice what he preaches, like, how are you willing to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was really like, he would say things about getting them done. He would really dream about things, but he didn't really put anything in action, So I think that's something that related to me in a way that I didn't want to be like that, So, yeah.
So you were willing to see his mistakes, and you were open enough to actually realize that you didn't want to become that person.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So as, like, I don't know how I want to dive into this, because, like, you have, from what I've read, you have quite the experience, like, that you've fought through, like, not only with your skin condition, but everything else, like, growing up. Like, was this something that kind of separated you from a lot of kids, like, not only because you're a refugee, not only because, like, of your skin condition, but just, like, everything else? Like, what was, like, being a refugee in Toronto?
I mean, it wasn't bad, man. Like, there was a lot of different refugees in Toronto at the same time, so, like, it wasn't, like, anything, it was just, like, kind of learning how to fit in with certain groups of people. And the people I hung up with were, like, all multicultural, so, like, I would, I'd have white friends, black friends, Indian, Afghani, Asian, like, all different types of friends, so it was cool, and I feel like I made myself, and like I figured myself out through all these different cultures.
Well, that's beautiful that you had a community of different experiences and backgrounds to help build you as a person.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm glad that you were able to make it over to grow to become this individual.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No worries at all. So at what point do you decide to create this movement of acceptance that you have named Indifference?
I started that a few years ago, like maybe 3-4 years ago, due to like me accepting myself finally. So, that's when I finally wanted to do it. I was confident enough. So,
So this album, like the title of the album being a soundscape to Indifference, is this also sort of like a connection to that movement where it's fair to say almost like a voice?
Absolutely. That's exactly how I feel about it. A voice for people that, don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. A voice for people that need acceptance and that can accept themselves in being vulnerable. I think that's exactly what it's about.
Okay, so with Indifference, like, is this something where, because you said that people reach out to you online and everything else, so obviously you guys have some form of online presence. Are you guys also out in, like, public, out in, like, your community as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we do events where we get together. We do events on Vitiligo Day, which is June 26th. We do, gatherings for, like, vitiligo speeches and stuff like that, and just, like, motivational speaking. So,
what does the future hold? What are the plans for 2019 for Marcus Haran?
Well, I'm dropping a mixtape in the near future within the next 2 months. For the new year, let's say. It's a compilation of 10 songs that I've been working on after I dropped my album on October 11th. Mm-hmm. So it's 10 songs. This one's going to be more fun, a different side of me. So I think it's going to be cool.
Okay. So getting into a little bit more of the playful side and...
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm excited to hear a little bit about that. Is there going to be any sort of connections to anything, or like numerology or spirituality with themes in this one as well?
This is more of my badass side, you know what I mean? This is more like my edgy, like, no filter. So, my fans, I know you guys, the people that appreciate my, soft side and my vulnerability, I hope you can appreciate this side of me too,
Well, you have to be able to express both of those emotions from yourself, right?
Absolutely. So that's why I feel like this album, this new mixtape is going to be really cool. It's called Hot Boy from Sri Lanka.
I love it. I love it, man.
That's the name of the mixtape. It's definitely got a title, so we'll see where it goes.
So clearly, 2019, Marcus Haran bringing the heat. Hot Boy from Sri Lanka. Keep your eyes open.
You, man.
Follow it on
Keep
Spotify.
Your eyes open. Yeah, absolutely, man. Do that.
All right. I love it, my dude. So well, actually, let's get into a few other things here. So, what about, like, high school idols and other things? Were there, like, anyone that you really looked up to that helped you, like, build yourself?
One person I really looked up to. One person I really looked up to was Eminem. And my boy Johnson knows that still. I love Eminem. My boy Johnson knows that. Eminem. Did you hear that in the background?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But Eminem was definitely, like, a big inspiration. I even listened to Korn, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, Cypress Hill, Nas, Biggie, Tupac, and but yeah, those are my inspirations growing up.
But of self-expression, a lot of finding yourself type music. I like that.
Thanks, man.
No, I really like that, man. So
Thank you,
Marcus Haran is not showing the world what it means to be different and he's not writing music, what does he like to get down with and do with the homeboys?
Write more music. We just hang out.
Always grinding, eh?
Yeah.
I love the mentality. My dude. All right,
man.
So before I ask you my last question, where can the listeners find out more about you?
Follow me on Instagram, Marcus Haran, on Twitter, at Marcus Haran, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all major platforms. Just Google me. I'm sure you'll find something about me, and then it'll lead you to where you need to be.
Fantastic. All right, so exactly what sort of difference, what impact would you like to leave behind you with your efforts and your music?
I just want people to, like, really become aware of their subconscious and how they really feel, and be able to accept themselves and be happy with themselves and pursue what they really want to pursue. Be themselves,
All right, fantastic. I love it, my man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And, of course, that brings us to another conclusion here at the DTP. So thank you to every single one of you who has tuned into this episode 52 of the Desert Tiger Podcast with my guest today, Marcus Haran. Of course, if you enjoyed what you heard today, you can go ahead and rate and review the show on iTunes, CastBox, whatever service you happen to listen on. If you're new to the show, maybe you also want to hit that subscribe or follow button on that service as well, so you can keep up to date with everything going on at the DTP. Of course, you can also go ahead and follow us on all of our social medias. And if you liked this episode just that much, maybe you want to go ahead and share it on some of your social medias. Share it with some of your friends who maybe you think would enjoy the episode. I would be ever so thankful for you for doing that, as I always am. The listeners of this show are freaking amazing, and I love you guys so much, forever and always. So, of course, while you're going out in your week here going forward, try and give the best energy you can to everyone you meet. Just because somebody might be a little bit different from you doesn't mean that their experiences don't make them beautiful in their own way as well. And until next week, have yourself a fantastic time. Next Thursday on the show, I'm going to be joined by members of the Trues. We're going to be talking about their brand new album, Civilianaires, and of course the tour of Canada and the United States that they're going to be doing to support that album. I am so excited to talk to the Trues. You guys just don't even know. I was jumping up and down. I found out about it today. So until next week, ciao. So, quick side note, everybody. Earlier on in this episode, I happened to mention one of the people who did our shirt designs, Darasenja. Darasenja does not live in Norway. This was a mistake on my part. Darasenja lives in Denmark and also happens to do incredible designs. If you happen to enjoy our traditional style Desert Tiger logo, that OG shirt, maybe you want to go ahead and pick yourself up a design from Darasenja yourself. You can go ahead and find them at www.instagram.com/DERASENJA. And because I am in such a great mood today, why don't we go ahead and throw on another Marcus Haran song from A True Story. This is called Pluto.
I never thought they'd ever sing along. It's my time and I ain't letting go. I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. You ever been unnoticed? Feeling out of focus, yeah. Let me blossom like a lotus, without the sunburn through the coldest. Now tell me how you cope, better see you inside, let me show you. Just real what you sound, get a closure. Need to show the Kyle, got my bulldogs. Close your eyes, let it go, close your eyes, let it go. Now can you feel this in your solar plexus? Solar plexus, in your solar plexus. Feel this in your solar plexus, solar plexus. I swear you never gon' forget that. You see my pops for like 12 years just to let him know what he's done here. But I ain't there, so don't come here. Nothing for us to discuss here. Even kings had some fear and need to carry no guns here. This ain't heaven, demons up here. Too much lust, no love here. You wanna push, you must have missed us. I'm a Pluto caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. You ever been unnoticed? Feeling out of focus, yeah. Let me blossom like a lotus, without the sunburn through the coldest. Now tell me how you cope, fantasy inside, let me show you. Just be real, what you sound, get a closure. Need to show the Kyle, got my bone thugs. Close your eyes, let it go, close your eyes, let it go. Now can you feel this in your solar plexus? Solar plexus, in your solar plexus. Feel this in your solar plexus, solar plexus. I swear you never gon' forget this. This is not where I live my life, no. I gotta get it, don't stop because you think it's not right. I'm running time, fix my mistakes, and I've been up all night. Alone in space where I drift away to the things I write. You wanna push, you must have missed us. I'm a Pluto floating solar system. Oh, you 3D, I'm a fifth dimension. I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. I ain't trying for the caption, yeah. I ain't do it for the fashion, yeah. You ever been unnoticed?